Hello everybody. In this video, we are going to start learning about the view router. In the previous one, we learned how to set up the development environment using Bit and how we able to the scaffold our application in components and how we need actually import those components and use them on the page. Now we're going to do navigation, and we're going to do navigation with through single page application. And the view router is going to help us with that. What does that mean is always we are going to render the index.html and the whole content of the page will change depending on the route that we have in the URL. And in order to make this to work, we need a router to actually do that logic for us. In this case, it's going to be view router, the one that we're going to be using. Of course, we need to use the version 4. That's the one that's compatible with view 3, the one that we're using for those videos. So this is going to be a quick introduction about the view router, and then they're going to have another video we're going to have a lot more intermediate, I will say medium level definition in there, where we're going to fake login input and protect some pages for the login. Of course, that's going to be fake, and later we're going to do the real authentication piece, probably using Firebase, but we will see that later. For now, let's get started. The first thing that we need to see is how the router is going to be installed. And the way to make it is just to go into here, and we need to install the router itself. I would recommend you to go through the documentation to see the different parameters and what need to happen there. But after pretty much we install, what we need to do is a couple of things. We need to create the router element, and we need to create the routes. Those routes will load different components, and those components will behave at the different pages for our app. And I will explain that in a minute. For now, let's actually get started. So let me put this on the right, and let me start creating my project, npm init. Let's call this basic view router as project name. Let's do view. Let's install the dependencies. And let's open it. And meanwhile it's been open, let's actually run our development environment. Let's make to the left. Let's make sure that application is up and running. It is. Perfect. Now that we have the app, and I showed you on the last video also how to do the cleanup. I will go a little bit faster here, but I will show you how to clean up again all of this. So pretty much what we need to do, we need to go to the application view, pretty much get rid of everything. Let's actually just keep the template in this case. Later we need to put something there, we're going to do it. Let's put a simple h1. Hello there. Perfect. So that means that the hello world need to get out. We will restart this in a minute. The assets, we don't need the logo anymore. That's pretty much it. Let's install Darwin, because it's always a good idea to have it there. I do view, where's my terminal? Oh, there you go, terminal, new one. Let's install all this. Let's initialize it. Perfect. Let's go to the top topic, the mode, git, and we change the purge to be all this. We create our index.css inside the source directory. We paste this content, and we import that in the main JavaScript file. There you go. If it's not reflected yet, that means that we need to restart the server. So let's console this, let's run it again. And there you go. The server is running. Let's remove this for a moment, and we have our application up and running, cleaned as it is supposed to be. Okay, for now, we just pretty much have everything that we need in order to start understanding how the router is going to work. The router, what it's going to be doing is going to be reading our path and the different pages that we're going to be defining over here. Right now, as you can see, everything that we just put after website, everything's going to be rendered the way that we had it. Because it doesn't know what to do about our route, so pretty much it's just ignoring the route. So for now, what I want to do is let me create a simple navigation. So in components, I will do a simple nav view. And let's do a simple template. Let me try to make this smaller, maybe just a little bit. And here we need to have a div. And let's call, whoa, he created a bunch of stuff for us, but let's ignore that. Let's create another div inside. And here let's call h1 basic router, right? And then probably I have an extra div there. I always put extra divs and then I remove them, and always happen I need to add it again. So I want to have my title there, and I want to have a navigation, and let's make this navigation actually to be a nav better. And here we have a new list, and let's do home, right? And this, what is happening? We need auto completion. There you go. Let's do home. Let's do about, and let's do hello. I don't know. Now that we have that, we're going to get back to our application view. Here we're going to use, now we need to use the script tag. Oops. A script setup. And we're going to import nav from components navigation. And we're going to use the nav over here. Also close it. Then we just bring in my name and my 3 different links that we're going to use later. For now, we just keep it like that. And this is going to be my menu. So let's lay out this a little bit just like a navigation. And let's make it real simple. But now that we have that, we can actually make this. Let's do the container. And let's do mx auto. Probably. There you go. Let's do also to be a flex element with justify between. That way we send the menu to the right and my basic information here. Perfect. Let's add just a padding y of 4 probably. Let's do let's put the background there. Let's put background blue 800 maybe. This will not work. I told you before that I always remove those div classes that I know that I'm going to use. So let's actually put this div over here. So let me wrap it. So this is the container, but the whole thing should have a background. Let's do a blue 900. It could be or not. Let's do gray 700 maybe. No, I don't like it. Let's keep it like that. Let's put text green 200. Let's make this list to have a class flex. So we have the elements like that, and we do a space x of 2. Let's probably a little bit bigger to 4. Let's make this to look like a real menu. So probably let's separate that. Let's put a span, right? Let's put this over here and drag one there. That could work. And let's do class. Let's do text Excel. 3 Excel. Oops. Could be. And let's do this is going to be justify center, items center, maybe. Or this one actually need to be item center. There you go. So we can remove this. So we have this to be pretty much straight out. Let's make this one font light. Let's remove this extra space. Let's put it together. Okay. And let's this one, the span, to be class text font actually. We have light, let's put this one semi bold. Yeah, we have like a basic router. And probably do the whole element, the whole here let's put tracking wider. Actually, maybe the other way around. Tight. What is the middle one? Tighter. Basic router. And this one, let's change it to normal. And probably this one can be thin. It doesn't change a lot, but I believe that's enough. It's start looking like a title over there. Just to see how the next level is probably too much. Yeah, let's keep it with 3 Excel. Okay, so this one is going to change a little bit. So let's put class, put a background. I want to see how much. Okay. So we have flex, space X, and is throw by default. Let's put this one white full, probably. No. White full. Background. This uses as a, how can I say it? Like utilities for verifying the the actual space that I'm taking. So it's not working the way that I was thinking that it should work. So let's make padding y of 8 probably. And this should be padding. There you go. So if we put that padding there, that means that probably we don't need over here the padding. Okay, yeah, starts liking it. Padding neck of 4, maybe. There you go. Okay, start getting where it's supposed to be. Right. So let's add pretty much this class to the other two. And we call this about, and we call this hello. Right, and the only thing we're going to do is on hover, cursor pointer, right? I want to do on hover the background to be clear green probably. Yeah, that works. And what about the text? Probably on hover the text green. We make a little like this. Okay, that works. So now that we have that like that, we add all those classes over here and over here. And there you go. We have our menu, we have a basic route. So we have a simple navigation, and in simple because it's not responsive. If I make this smaller, it's actually not being responsive, but that's okay. It's not what we're actually seeing today. So we create our navigation, perfect, and we have that one. So what we want to do, the idea here is to have, I don't know, we can have views or pages directory, and we can have, I don't know, for example, home, or let's call the index view, right? And let's create a new one. Let's call this about dot view. And let's call a new one hello dot view. Let's make the index and let's put this one over here. Let's do the simple template. Home page. And let's copy all this over. This is actually hello page. And this is actually about page. So the idea is I want to change the whole content to any of these components that they're not saving inside the component directory, they're saving in pages. So we are converting this component to pages, but at the end it's the same functionality as this one. It's a view file and it works as a component itself. And what I want to do is I want to check, for example, in order to use them, we know that we need to import. I know, for example, we can call it index from pages index view, and we call this with lowercase. And we can also, after the navigation, we need to have our index there. There you go. And that is when I'm actually here, right? If I go to about, I want to render the about component. How we can do that, or what will help us achieve that? That will be the view routing itself. I don't know, it took us a while, it took us almost 20 minutes just to set up the project itself. But I thought it beneficial in order to see what we need to do over here. So one last thing is This white page is, let's change in the index, let's change the title. This one is a little bit up. Let's actually put it basic router. There you go. And on the body, and this is just a little hack. We can do class equal background gray 300. So we make that it's not that white, and we can actually do no container. We don't do it over here. Well, the container we're going to be doing in the application view, and probably we can do a simple div. Move this one over here and make a class container mx auto. There you go. So we have the element and it's where it's going to work. Now, how can we actually make it switch? For that, we just need to install our router. There you go. And in the router, we are going to create. And there are different ways to do it. Some people actually create a folder. Some people actually just create a file. In this case, inside the source, I will create a simple router.js. And I will import a couple of things from view router. Here, there is a function it's called create router, and there's another called create. We need to call the web history, and I will explain that why we need to import it. So for now, we need to import all pages from wherever they are. So actually, we need to import index from. We have actually those are indoor pages. Index.view, right? We need to import, and actually it's index. We need to import about, and we need to import hello. And this is called hello. We call it hello, and we call this about. We just need to import all those pages because those actually came from the route that we're going to be generated. So before we create the router, something important that we need to do is we need to create a route. So with the const routes equal, and this is going to be an array. And in this array, we need to put three different elements. We need to put the path. We need to put the name. And we need to put the component. Right? As you can see here, it's already giving me index by default. So what I want to say here is I want to do my home path, and I will give its name home, or let's actually call index, and it's going to render my index component. We just copy over the second element of the array, and at third time. When I go to about, I want to actually put the about page, with the about, and when we do the hello, I want to have the hello component and have the hello over here. And that's pretty much what we need to have on the different routes that we're going to be using in the route. Now that we have the routes, we actually need to create a router. It's the guide that we actually do the logic here. And it's going to be create router. right? And on router, we need to specify the history mode. And it's something that probably we'll talk later. It's pretty much what to do whenever we hit back, right? What the page needs to render. But the web history mode is a HTML history, most common, and that's why we need to have it, right? You just put it like that in order to render whenever we can go back or we can move forward. It's pretty much what it does. And we need to send the routes elements that we needed. Now, remember, this is actually something like this, but JavaScript allowed us when a component of the object, the key and the value have the same name, we can actually specify like this, and it's valid, right? Another way that we can actually do is actually put the whole array there. We should be able to do something like this too, and it's valid, right? But just in case, I would like to keep things separate. So let's keep the routes, the constant, and we just import the router. And then we just export by default the router. Simple function that will do everything that we actually need. Now that we have the router created and we have the object exported, we actually need to call it over here. We need to tell import router from router, right? And we need to tell to our application before it get mount to use our router. And we just pipe it up over here. But that's it. That we allow us whenever we go to home, we actually have the home page. Whenever we hit the about, we want to have the about page. Right now it's not working because we need to have two different elements in order to make it. The router now have the logic, know what to render, what to pull, but actually doesn't know what to render, what to put it, whatever it's rendering. And also don't know because we are not telling it what to do about the page. So in our application view, inside our container that is pretty much this thing over here, we're going to tell it instead of having the index, let's get rid of this. We have a component called router view. As you see at the moment I put the router view because I'm in the about page got rendered. If I go to hello page. If I remove everything, I have the home page. Sorry. So we're able to go and navigate to our home, about, and hello. And it's working as it's supposed to. Now let's make this actually to be different links that will pretty much go whenever we need to go. So let's get back to our navigation. On this list element that we have over here, let's change those to be, actually we can put it, where can we put it? Maybe we can put it over here. Router link, now let's put the home. We have an issue here. Okay, yes. So we have a router view, and here is defined that the path is not defined. So for the router link, we just need to specify where we want to set the element. And in this case, what I want to do is I want to send it to my How can I call it, my home page? So I can do a simple like this. There you go. So if I click home, I should be hitting home, right? Let's go back. I'm in hello. In home, if I click home, I just go right away to home. But now I see that I have another issue. The page not get rendered. Let's see what is happening. There you go. It was just failing. With our simple refresh worked. So if I go to hello and I hit home, I go right away to my home page. Now let me actually send this router link outside and let me send it on top of my list element because I just want to have everything to be the router link and not just the name itself. So let's remove this one and let's put it right here. We have before and after, pretty much. If I click here, it should work. Let me just render this a little bit different. There you go. And let's create my next router link. This one is for the about, so actually this goes to about. We need to close it over here. We open the other one here to hello. And we need to close it over here. There you go. So now we have our navigation working. We went to home, about, hello, and vice versa. Now, I created this to be router links. The question could be why we cannot use traditional links or anchor tags, the way that we actually know it usually works. Let's actually try that. Let's create a second home and let's do a name link and let's call this to go to home. Let's call this home. A list element that go to home to that list element have a class this. Let me save it. There you go. So this one is send me to home, right? The same way that this one does. But I want you to notice something. If I click the home through the router link, the page doesn't refresh itself. It just loads. But if I actually go through the second home, there is a simple anchor tag. Look how the page actually reposes. Everything gets loaded again. You saw that little loading over here? I can show you through this page to the network. If I go over here, I'm actually just not creating any, how can I say, any network route itself. And I'm creating that because it's already loaded through the JavaScript. And there's of course a way to do this asynchronous in order to load it whenever you need it. But when the page rendered the first time, the logic for the router was already there, and we are not creating actually HTTP requests. Everything happened on the client side, on the browser. But if we do through here, you can see that we have a network call, right? And that network call, it brings pretty much everything that we needed. But in this case, we can just remove it. It's reality don't need it, and we have an extra element there. There you go. And we have the application up and running the way that it's supposed to. So I will stop the video now. This was the basic router information. We were able to import the route. We were able to create our route itself, define the different routes that we want to put, and the correct use of router link and router view. Router view is where it's going to load the component that is working as a page or as a view. And the router link is pretty much the anchor tag to a specific place. Something extra that I want to specify for this one is can actually we can send an object and we can say this one actually go to name. We can say something like about, for example, and it didn't work. Why did it work? Um, I love when things don't work in the way it's supposed to. Um, wait a second. Oh wait, I think it's because of this. It's a dynamic now. We're not sending a static element. There you go. So we can actually name the page that we want to render whenever we send it as a dynamic too. So we can do a static like this one, or we can name it like this one. And both of them is actually fine. And we can actually define something like this. We can actually, if we need it, define multiple elements just to be sure that we're fine. We can do path is going to be hello. Name is going to be hello. And that is still working. So those are the different elements that we can send it. Through the object itself, of course, need to be dynamic, so it's binded, or static element, and we just specify the route itself. So whatever you want to call it is depending on the app and depending your how you want to do your application. But this is pretty much it. Let's stop the video now. We have recorded over half an hour, and I think it should be enough. And next one, we're going to talk about a little bit parameters, and we're going to talk about dynamic route, and let's fake the authentication system. That means we will utilize words in order to protect specific pages that we are not going to be accessible until a specific condition happen, right? So for now, I actually hope that you like it. Actually, before we end it, what happened is we put something that doesn't exist. Not got rendered by default because there is no route called something. So whenever the route doesn't exist, doesn't know what to do about it, well, that means that how can I say? Nothing. It doesn't go to red render. Just to put this, probably this is a little more intermediate, but let me just put it there just to have all the rows integrated. Let me add a new page called 404.view. Well, let's do a template. Well, let's do h1 404 page not found. And probably we can put this a little prettier or whatever. But in the router itself, in the route, as this is really important, at the end of everything, we can define a path to be something like this. Say, like, if it doesn't fill here, cache whatever we are sending, and that need to be posted through here. And probably, actually, I believe I'm doing the old way around. Let me just verify that I'm actually using the correct version. Give me a sec. And yes, sorry, actually using the old way. So let me just, to have it right here, let's import 404, right? Let's call this not found, right? And that one is going to be here. So we need to send a dynamic path, and we do that through a path match. That's pretty much that we do like a regex execution. and we do, it could be anything, whatever. And I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but this is what you need to have, exactly this. We call this component not found, and let's import that one over here. So yeah, whenever we hit something that doesn't exist, we are hitting the not found. But the rest of the components is working the way it's supposed to. There you go. Now, it is important, as I said before, that this needs to be at the end. Because what happens if I put it before hello? Home works fine, about does too, but when I go to hello, actually it does. It looks like it doesn't. Sorry. That's how it was before, actually. Um, well, let's keep as a good practice now. That catch whatever is the rest and just put it at the end. That way, everything is working, and when something doesn't exist, we have the not found in there. So I really hope that you like it. Any question, any doubt, don't hesitate to reach me. Happy coding, everybody.